Very short video here. I've been watching some videos recently that showcase old PC games, and when some of these people talk about the best settings and look for the game in question, very often they'll point out that for Pete's sake, don't turn on texture filtering because it looks bad. Now look, this makes sense when it comes to games that came out during the blocky texture era of gaming, you know, the PS1 era of gaming, and that makes sense, but Quake 2 64 from the Quake 2 remaster, Doom 64 EX, or any game that supports OpenGL, Direct 3D, or Glide for Voodoo graphics? Why? Why do I have to disable texture filtering in these games? Like, I get that today people are obsessed with sharpness of graphics in video games, but some people can take it a little too far, like trying to run modern AAA games in 4K, even if it means the frame rate has to drop to 30 FPS or below even that. But sometimes I feel like this obsession with sharpness can get a little out of hand when people start to think you're crazy for enabling texture filtering in retro games. And if you do, what are you? One of those crazy guys that loves pizza with pineapple toppings? Hey everyone, we got a crazy person here. Okay, two things. Number one, I love pineapple on pizza because it's not the sweetest fruit out there, it's a bit tangy, it's pretty acidic, and it adds that extra sweetness and kick to the pizza like sweet chili does. So, it's not like me putting watermelon or marshmallows on my pizza. Stop making me feel bad for enjoying a thing I enjoy. And number two, stop telling me to turn off texture filtering in my video game. The reason why bilinear, or better yet trilinear filtering, was even invented in the first place is based on logic. Just like how anything that's close to your face while you're trying to stare at something far away looks blurry to you, same thing happens in a video game. It also happens to save memory. It improves performance because the texture itself doesn't need to always be super high res, but without the blockiness that only happens in a video game and not in real life. And this can be a detriment for immersiveness, especially if the game is all about world building, where you really don't want to experience any type of video game artifacting. In fact, this trend of having blocky textures being popularized by games like Minecraft doesn't always fit in these immersive games, like the remake of System Shock. This uses Unreal Engine, the lighting is sophisticated and the textures are very detailed, but then you notice the closer you get to these textures, they become blocky. Now to me, that doesn't make any sense. The very detailed models and lighting, in my opinion, is artistically incompatible with blocky retro textures. I mean, I don't mind if you want to turn filter textures off even in games like this, just as long as I can turn them on, because that's the whole point of filter textures. Even in modern AAA games, sometimes the textures cannot always be the sharpest, but you don't notice it as much because of the filtering. I mean, sure, this game isn't exactly cyberpunk. Okay, well, it is a cyberpunk, but not cyberpunk 2077, but still a lot more graphically sophisticated compared to most other independently made games out there. However, just like with the pineapple on a pizza analogy, I'm not going to tell you that you can't disable texture filtering. Why do you think most game developers give you that option in the first place? Unless you're Nintendo, that is, where you always have to have it on no matter what. The other thing that also drives me insane is when someone tells me that you just can't play retro consoles using the standard AV composite cable. Why not?
Oh, well, because developers want you to say this and not this.
Yes, because developers intended for the waterfall and glass pipes to have vertical streaks in them instead of a transparent wall of water or a slightly opaque space vortex. I'm pretty sure HAL Labs didn't want Kirby to look like he was made out of Lego, but actually be round. Like, what is this? I don't want to burn hundreds of dollars on upscalers and HDMI mods for my retro consoles while spending countless hours of my time tweaking graphics when I could be playing games instead, plus having to deal with all the clutter just to be able to see this. Now, this doesn't mean I want games to be blurry, but a blurry image isn't what hides these dithered artifacts. Look, I'll just take a screenshot of this and I'll put it into this program and I'll just keep blurring this image until the dithering goes away. Yeah, that looks awful. This sure isn't what devs wanted us to see, but neither did they want us to see this. Developers didn't want us to peek behind the curtain. They wanted our brains to fill in the gaps and imagine worlds and characters existing in some tangible reality rather than be a pile of pixels. But hey, you can play games like this if you prefer. Just don't tell me how I should enjoy my favorite hobby. Until next time.